Ads are starting, which means it's break time. Thank you for your patience and stream support.
And a half, I think. And I know it's about half the time I usually do, but things happen. We'll just leave it at that. So, oh, okay. It looks like my personal chat thing that I see here that helped me keep up on the chat you guys have decided to de-auth from Twitch. Yay! Love it. Love it. Things happen, you know? Let's try this again. Okay, we just did. Authorize, thank you. Whatever. Okay, I guess that's not going to cooperate. There we go. Okay, so hopefully I'll have the sounds I need to be able to actually hear what's going on and saying hello. So yeah, should be good. I see that we still have a rather strange hangman on the screen. I would love to change the text on that. I forgot to do so beforehand, so my apologies. Basically, woo, we are here in my solo world, going to be going round and round in circles. As much as that's a lot of fun. Yep. So, I don't know if I have a mainframe reference of what we're aiming for. Let me double check before we get too far here. And I hope I have my reference screen off before I get too far into that. Yeah, good. I updated everything and now I can't find anything. You know, that's how life works. And I was going to be working on Dadcraft 73's server today, but unfortunately, I did not actually, there we go. So I did not actually get that part sorted out. Just there's some little mods and things, you can see one of them in the corner here, that I have an assistance I have difficulty living without. So Since some of those weren't functioning on the other one, then I was just about guaranteed to be dead and decided that was not worth it. I mean, really, I was just being a pansy. But I needed a break from the dirt digging, so we're making circles. I don't know how that's a break, but yeah. So we'll do this for a little while. Partway through, we may switch over to bingo. We'll see where my mood's at. And yeah, that's where we're going. Okay, so give you a quick boo at what we're doing. And we're going to crash into logos. Let me just double check and see if that's going to be a problem. Live. I don't believe so. No, so we should be okay. Alright, so this is what we're working on. So I'm working on the lower circle you can see there. We have not gotten past the design. So of the circles there, the larger one, so we don't have this one, this big one way out here, way out on the edge that you're getting part of it cut off. That's what I'm trying to aim for. So that's going to be a bit of a pain in the neck. It's, as you can see from the one picture above, so that's a half sphere, and then we've got a smaller half sphere floating inside that, and then inside that we have a sphere that actually comes above the ground. We've got all the math figured out, finally, and it would have helped if I had a tool that worked, but you know, that's life. So in this one, I have done a little bit off-camera stuff, but not a whole ton. I went and stood at the stone generator for a while. A long while. I'll admit there was some weights on a mouse for a while. So yeah, that was a little bit cheaty, but we got that. Junk box. That's what we've got for dirt. So yeah, now I'm living in a survival world here, in spite of the fact that it is my own world, so I could actually just cheat stuff in. I think that's not fair to you. However, there are times that, because it's my long-term world that I want to use as an archive and stuff, etc., I don't want to have major damage to it if something goes wrong. So I find being able to replace stuff quickly if need be is worth it to me. So yeah, we're going to be survival as much as possible, but I don't want to actually lock it so I can't change that. Let me just do a quick check for you guys and make sure. Okay, good. I haven't changed that difficulty at the moment. So welcome on in to everybody who's here. We're definite welcome to Jay and to, I think I saw Jerry May come through. Welcome. And also to Macbar. Glad to see all of you here. You're spoiling me with your presence. I know it sounds kind of cheesy, but it is true. So yeah, when it's true, it's a thing. Okay, so one of the things I've got on my side here, you'll see me keep
Half
looking.
pint lover just redeemed, get a clue.
Ah! Welcome in, HPL. How are you doing today? Hopefully you guys are doing well. You'll see me looking a lot to the side. I've got a triple monitor set up, so my game is dead center.
Welcome.
I've got my OBS on one side, even though I'm still using chat overlaid on my screen. It's just a mental block thing. You'll see me looking a lot to the left as well, or well, my left, I guess, your right. And that's where I've got the helper. So a lot of people use Plots Modeler, Plotz, but which side am I on? I'm on the wrong one. Okay, so a lot of people use Plots Modeler, but I unfortunately can't in this particular instance because Plots Modeler will not give me a sphere big enough. It sounds crazy, but yeah, it's true. So this one, what we're looking at on the right-hand side lower picture, or the upper one, either way, but the bowl I'm starting with at the bottom of the world is going to be about 448 blocks across. So that's pretty darn big, as you can probably imagine. And we need to figure out how to get that one going. Now, I also have to, you'll see some weird stuff happening from time to time because I've added a mod to my Chrome that should, theoretically, let me zoom in the pictures I'm looking at. But it takes a while for everything to catch up. And if I don't zoom it quite right, then I have to zoom again from scratch. And I have to see which level I'm on because that's the other thing I can't see when I zoom in. So when you've got 448 blocks across on a grid program, I'm using, I don't know if anybody like it really has a name. I call it Orange, but new.oranj, so orange.io. And then you can do a lot of modeling stuff like cones, spheres. I think they do hourglasses and some domes, which is really helpful. But at the size of 448 blocks, it gets really big. And the blocks you're looking at for individual squares are tiny, which is fine in most cases. Now you can either tell it to render or you can tell it to bring it down as a CSV file. Unfortunately, I'm not a spreadsheet whiz, so I was not able to do it as a spreadsheet file and then bring it into a spreadsheet program that will render pictures for me. It would just be a lot of fuss for me to learn, so I just said, forget it. We're just going with what we got. But the problem that makes now is that I have to figure out which level we're on, because I don't want to bore myself or you guys with it repeatedly every single time that we go to do this. The delays. So I close down the programs in between and, go do something else like DC server or whatnot. And the resulting effect is that, I forgot to write down what level I'm on. So yeah. So I got 1/4 of the level we're on figured out. I can fill in the bottom one, I can fill in this quarter, but then I have to start figuring out where the other 3 parts of that go. So I need to figure out what my diameter is. And unfortunately I've zoomed past the level that shows me where that is. It's a web page, so not everything readjusts. If it does, it tends to recalculate, which takes forever and a day. So what I'm going to do is just calculate my diameter here and then go count the rest. So we've got 2, 3, I think, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 block. Okay. So it'd be 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16 block. Okay, so we've got 8, 16, 24. Oops. Might help if I actually go in one where I've done it long. 24. And then, oh, there's the other one. Yes, it does. But like it definitely does, and I can paste it in real quick, Like I could actually even do Amulet in a Creative World, then turn it into a Lightmatic if I want to, like a Structura type of file. Same sort of thing, Lightmatic as Structura. And then come in and just run around with the paintbrush, easy place tool, and call it a day. Where's the survival fun in that? Now, this is part of why I don't actually do it all on camera, because it's going to bore the snot out of a lot of people. So I'm going to do a few levels on camera. Then I may just take your suggestion and paste it in. Especially when we get to the bigger part. You guys haven't seen the bigger part yet. This is the center. So, pausing for a split sec. So you'll see my mouse doesn't go on top of the other screen. Of course not, because it's not on that screen. Okay, you'll see I'm going to put my mouse beside it. In the lower one, there's the gold center. That's only the white ball in the center of that. It's only about 7 by 7. So that's not bad. 7 by 7 by 7. And then there's a little bit of ring, so not bad there. The white part itself, I'm going with about 64 across. I think that was my math. Let me see. 64 is at 128. I'm looking at my notes here. No, it's 128 across, 64 radius. Fun. So then, I'm just going to put this up on my desk. Okay, so then that gets me to, oh, it's not flat. Sorry, I've got a whiteboard, and I thought it was rectangular, but I forgot it has rounded ends, and I used it vertically. So then that 128 radius, so we're talking from the center out to the edge of the, I'm pointing at stuff you can't even see, that's not going to help. Okay, yeah. Huh. Yes, that makes sense. Okay, so we've got, so from the center to the edge of the white circle, we've got 64. Then from there to the edge of the inner black bowl circle, we've got another 64. Then we've got a little bit of like a lip, so I'm going to say it's about 16-ish. And then I decided that we've got another, so the bridges are about 32 long, and then we've got the big bowl. So that's the center of a picture. Yeah, it's semi-rectangular, exactly. So I just got to balance it against other things so it doesn't roll off my desk. Exactly, Blonde Bugler. Welcome in, by the way. Welcome. So then what we're aiming for long term is, and I will turn that one off, is a version of this. So it's not going to be quite so creative, and it's going to be a lot messier than that. Partly because I don't have the skills to pull that off. Partly because, I mean, that's a computer-generated render from it's a 1994, I believe, cartoon. It was all 100% computer-generated. Theoretically, the first of its time, as far as I know. They still claim it's the first of its time, the people that are fans and made it, but you never know. But anyway, point being, I still haven't figured out how big the outside ring is. I think we're looking, oh geez, what did I figure? I think that's another like 6 or 8 copies of this width down, well maybe not, let's see, 1, 2, maybe about 4 more of this whole bowl section, but in terms of length. I don't have to worry about doing all of that, which is great. Yeah, it looks like an Omni magazine. Exactly. You know. Or a way back in the day picture from the cover of Popular Mechanics. Except in that case, it'd be describing an engine. But in this case, so what it is I'm just going to make this short because I know I've covered it before. This picture, the big one, is a rendering of the city of Mainframe. And yes, that is a computer joke. So what the premise is of this thing is they live inside a computer. The show was called Reboot, so if you guys are familiar with it, fantastic. If you're not, feel free to look it up. It's kind of fun. But they lived inside this mainframe city. Now, it's not a mainframe computer. That was just the name of the city. But the shape was modeled off one of the old hard drive, like the spin type hard drives. So if you take the case off, it has the spinning platter layers, and then with sectors, and then a central spin section. In this case, they called it the principal office, which is the little the big white floating ball there. Okay. The little piece on the top, I think there was a name for it, but I can't remember. It wasn't like a important part of the show. It was more of a projector of sorts. So my aim is to do something like that city. There you'll see off to the sort of northeast part of that picture, there is a green space section. That's going to be whatever happened to generate in this world, vanilla, period. With one exception, whatever the bottom of the world will be, like so in essence the bottom of the bowl, I guess, but whatever the bottom of the world will be, then I'm going to make sure that that green section just doesn't have any like major canyons and chasms and whatever, and I'll just flatten that off. It's not like I have to fill it, I just want to flatten it. No big deal. We can fill it with whatever we happen to have junk at the time. It does look a little bit like Cray Tower, yeah. I'm familiar with that, actually. So, giving you that as a scale, right, you can see we have a big project, and this is why it's my long-term solo world, and it's just beginning. And I need to sleep. And I had the jitters this morning. Weird. For me, it's morning for another 15 minutes. For you guys, it's probably afternoon unless you live on the West Coast. But I'm in Mountain Time Zone, so it's about 1:45 noon. Anyway, I could probably fill while I talk. That would be sensible. Okay, let's not move. The reason I've got all this dirt in here is partly, as you can see, for when the rings jut in. And I was just doing the ring. I was not doing fill in at that point. So I don't need all of this. I need more. I might as well leave that one on the board. Okay, and then I can talk while I move, right? Let's start with the ones away from the bed. Then it's a little easier to clean up the mess. So, that way. All right. So, oh, I know why I wanted dirt. Aha. Okay, perfect. This ground layer I actually wanted to be on the ground, but then when I was peeling it off, I figured this was just dumb and put the first one in the ground. So part of this is flat, part of it's not. I'm not sure if I care. The only thing that's going to bug me is the bit where I've got a gap, right? So I'll probably take the rest of it off because that's just about all that's left. I think I've got some on this side that's left to the southeast. And yes, there is a chasm here, and there's another one over there, and I'm just going to ignore them. They're just there, whatever. Anyway, and you can't see it because I just talked about that over top of stuff. Okay, so I'm going to pull off the big mainframe picture, but you get the idea of that part. So while I yak about that, because it's old news, or every news, I guess, So anyway, where was I going with this? But that giving you that sort of scale, the idea with what I'm going to do with it is I have got Lightmatics of previous seasons I've done on, say, the Dadcraft 73 servers, or I've got a little bit left of stuff that I've done with our family that I want to put in, and basically it'll be a consolidating history world of sorts. Now the reason it works, even if the other ones are disparate themes, is because the... Ooh, see, I play slow. This is in Java, for those of you that are curious, which is why I can't just go ahead and block forward. It would make sense, given that I have so many mods, that I actually would put in a forward placing thing and an underneath placing thing, but, you know, I always think of those ideas when I don't need them. Okay, so, Minecraft. Actually, let's do it this way. I said the idea, so I should put the thing in. Maybe, what was I gonna say? Forward, placing mod. There we go. Yes, it's another cheaty thing to have both, but, you know, because it's sort of a parody with Bedrock thing, my brain goes, yeah, well, okay, yeah. It's cheaty, but it's not cheaty. And of course, obviously, in your own world, so you can do whatever the snot you want. So, you know, I guess I could do all sorts of stupid things. But I want it to be a world that, in theory, when we're done, anybody could come visit. Not that everybody would, it's sort of my thing, but that anybody could visit, or I could show to anybody by just loading it into a fully vanilla version of the game, and then it's visitable without any extra mods required. I'll probably find some surprises as we go along from that point of view, and have not yet set up an instance for myself where it's fully vanilla. Like right now, all of my instances are modded in some format, but I will at some point remember, and it's not critical if I don't remember now, but I will at some point remember to set up a fully vanilla instance that I just keep updating so that I can just keep testing to make sure that the world that I'm working in is still fully vanilla. But most of the mods I have are quality of life mods, meaning that they don't make any changes to the game. So I've not added things like string from wool and that kind of silliness. I could, but you know, there's something for personal integrity in that front. Anyways, so what I'm doing with this, and the reason I say it's messy and it won't look quite like the picture you saw, is because the way that cartoon worked, and how this works with the other worlds I've done, or other seasons, I guess, is that you can, excuse me, in this world there are games. So the user inputs games for pleasure. And the citizens in the world, the inhabitants, don't understand why or how. And so they want to find out. But one of our main characters, his name is Bob. Yay! And he's a guardian. I'm not exactly sure where he's from. I'll have to rewatch the series to find out. I probably will fairly soon, because I'm debating whether or not I want to do something related to the same cartoon series as my theme for the next DC season, I guess you could say. But anyway, so they input games for fun. And the games drop into the world as big pink, they call them cubes, but they're not really cubes because, I mean, it's a vertical, more of a rectangular prism. I mean, who uses rectangular prism in a day-to-day conversation unless it's a part of your job? Mike Burton, I'm looking at you. But anyway, so actually, I think Mike's is more cylinders. But anyways, the point where I'm going with that is inside these games, one could argue it's a bit TARDIS-like in terms of the game appears to be a set size from the outside, but inside the game section, cube, whatever, that's dropped in, it can basically be whatever size it needs to be to have the game world in it. And that allows me to, as long as I encase these other worlds in the GameCube design, whatever I'm using for that, so some sort of wall format, in the game, the players wouldn't actually see the borders to the world, but I mean, it's just a problem you have with Minecraft. You kind of have to see it, right? It's just the way it works. So, but as long as I put it inside a game cube, then I don't have a problem with the idea that the styling of the theme that I had for whatever that season was does not fit with the mainframe theme or anything like that. For example, was it last season, I think? Yeah. Wow. My brain's really lost on. I'm mixing up my seasons now, by the way, just so you guys are aware. And I'm missing some, so I'll have to try and contact the mods and see if anybody has an archive. But in any case, and I didn't take everybody's builds, I only took mine when I did copy stuff. But where I'm going with this is to say that I could have my medieval themed season and just copy paste in via Litematica those ones, and it doesn't matter that it doesn't fit the futuristic sort of computer-esque theme that we're going for with the mainframe business. So that allows me to have whatever theme I'd had in the previous season as the world inside the cube, which will probably at some point involve terraforming, and terraforming is not one of my strong suits, nor is it something I enjoy. That said, it's a really, really long project because I've got multiple worlds to put in, but I've also got, you know, as you saw, a massive city. So what I'm looking to do, more or less, is there's a couple of few key locations inside the world that need to be there. Central piece, of course, it's the principal office. It's very key to everything. And then there's one, I'm just gonna check my reference screen. No, I don't. Okay. Just gonna see if I have a screenshot. Oops, no, that's sticky notes, not a folder. Can I? Huh, okay. So I'm using my Windows 11, pardon me. And when you put the File Explorer on the taskbar, its folder color is almost identical to the yellow of the Sticky Notes app. And so I took it off, as in I put it somewhere else, but now I keep clicking Sticky Notes when I want to get into the File Explorer. Okay, I'm looking in my ideas folder to see if I've got a picture of any of the other locations. No. Okay. So, do I have it on? Games, Minecraft ideas, reboot, mainframe, blah, 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 principal office. I don't. What the heck? What's wrong with me? Okay. Well, not easy to explain then. But there is, I'll show this one back again. Hard to see. Let's see if I can, I don't want to zoom that picture at the moment, it'll mess with the size of everything else. But maybe I can. Mainframe? Nope, can't. Okay. So, sort of hard to explain and see on that picture. But there are a couple of places that are basically like mass bases / layers for our villains. And the villains' layers, of course, as you can imagine, by being quote-unquote mass bases, they should be big, right? So that, and they're also fairly key because they're the main bases of our villains. Now, really only one of them is actually in the city. One is technically outside the city, but I'll probably put it in the city as filler. But anyways, so there's a couple places like that. There is our main characters. One of them has an apartment building, which, I mean, it's not a very notable looking apartment building, it's just an apartment building. And the guy lives like you would generally expect any bachelor to live, more or less. So I don't need to worry about his apartment building. I mean, he'll have to have one at some point, but it's not critical because Bob has to have somewhere to live. I swear the other main character, Dot, and her brother, younger brother Enzo, live in a diner, like 1950s style diner that Dot runs, Dot's Diner. And you know what? This is going to bug me if I don't do it. Okay. See profiles. Open another profile. Okay. Let's switch this over. I'm going to yak about this forever, so I might as well just show you guys. Where is display cap? Okay. So I have to move my chat for a second. Show borders. It's easier. All right. So now I can show this. Messy, messy, messy. So you're still seeing the reference pictures on the right. I have to remember that I'm doing that because I won't see them on my screen. But let's see, reboot. Oops. Reboot. Spell. Oh, well, fine. Reboot. Show. Tor. It's fine. I don't care. Ask me 3 days from now. Okay, images. There we go. Okay, the Silicon Tor. All right. So, this crazy picture. Can I? Oh, hey, we wiki. I forgot about that. Ha 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 ha. Wonderful. Okay. So this is the Silicon Tor, and as you can see, it's kind of modeled after, yes, a snake, and sort of, and it's looks kind of like a cobra, I guess, maybe? It's a lizard anyways. But it's large. Like, it's supposed to have... I'm not quite sure what that is. But yeah, this is supposed to be the main sort of dais, and yes, the screen cap is terrible. I see it terrible too, so you're not nuts. But that's what's the main dais, where our major villain sits 90% of the time. And then it's supposed to have a very large warehouse of ridiculous weapons, like stupid weapons. I'm not sure what that was. I think it's the elevator, but I'm not going to worry about that part. I mean, the big key is this part, and if I get space inside, you know, that part, that's the dais thing that we were talking about earlier. I think there's a section above that looks kind of like this, and it runs up on the inside. So this is, as you can see from the pattern, it's actually a great opportunity for deep slate and some format of deep slate. So that's pretty cool. And they've had all sorts of stuff happen to it, but trying to figure out where that is in the scope of the city. Okay, so in the mainframe city, and I do have this, reboot, mainframe city. Images, there we go. Okay, so they're trying to label it in some of the pictures. Ah, that's a better one. Does it show the Tor? Not well. Let's go with this one. Visit. All right, so mainframe, I was showing you the side cap, and that's what I was using, but I might actually have to switch to that picture. That actually would make more sense for anything. Okay, and from where I was at, the Tor, I believe... Oh, maybe I have to go to the other picture. Okay, yeah, I can see it in this one. I will see if I can zoom this in. Shift. Zoom. Yeah, it's bad. So you can see from the central core, and then you saw how big the Tor was supposed to be. That's the Tor here, on this west side, red blob. So yeah, that's pretty tiny. But it also, you can see then how when we deal with the city... Stop, I don't need ads, wiki. Go away. Go away. Alright, more ads. Okay. So when we're dealing with the city, you can see that I will have a very large space that we can just leave more or less as is. And that's fantastic because then everything outside it can be whatever, right? Once I've got the outside frame built, if I was to do it in creative or with not mods, like amulets and world edits and so on, then I could actually turn the rest of the city in advance into this pink and... Ah! Go away, ads, I said. You can go into the pink and purple stuff. So the city it's basically black was a better word, it's like a void. So when you have those mods where the void will, like if the void in the end will actually have some sort of look to it, so that it's not just a bottomless nothing. That's basically what we're looking at here in everything else. But I wanted to do it in the overworld for all of the Minecraft reasons that you want to be in the overworld. having the materials and so on and so forth. While I'm here, I'm actually just going to save this picture. How did I... Okay, now it wants to be in with everything else. What the heck? Open that one, new tab. This picture, yes. Okay, so I'm going to save it. And don't pop off, fully. Go away. Oh, ha ha ha. It opened it that way. Okay. Let's take off this nonsense. There we go. And save image as. Nope, still web page. What does this do? Same thing. Dunno. That's probably why I didn't save it before. So I didn't want it to be a web page or WebP, but I guess that's gonna be the way it is. I don't like WebP files, but that's fine. Life's like that. Okay. So anyway, that's kind of what we're aiming for. So it tells you different things. Do we have a link to dots here? Okay, yeah. So there's a few things that we're going to need to have in the world. And you can see these squares here on the screen. They call those vid windows. Okay. Now the vid windows, can you just pin top and bottom? No. Okay, these vid windows, they are the way that the game can, or the world communicates. So, do I have menu? Not that one. No. This one? No. I closed one. I shouldn't have. Smart. Smart. Anyway, but vid windows. It's a reboot wiki. In locations, systems, contents. No. Web war. Blah blah blah. System crash. No. Reboot. Ooh, reboot characters. Okay. Perfect. My two bob. Ooh, nice. Explore. There we go. Main page. I have interactive maps? Oh, I hope we have one. Ew. Ew. Maxine, you're a terrible character. Featured article. Okay, that's not what I wanted. Darn it. I thought it would give me more than I needed. Anyway, where I'm hoping to go. All pages. Do you have an all pages page? Aha. Okay, and then I can search here. And we're going to go to, oh, there it is. I see it already. Dot's Diner. Okay, so this. Come on, you. Dot's Diner. And if I can go a little larger. Aha. There we go. Shift. Cool. Sorry, my bot is being weird on me. Okay, fine. I'll hold it then. Dot's Diner. So as you can see, it's a 1950s themed diner, more or less. And it does all kinds of things. As in, like, everybody lives inside. Well, somewhere in there. And so this might be the above ground portion of what I do in Dadcraft 73's server. Or that might be the place where I test out this build. And then maybe if I get this one done, I could look at doing the tour and so on. But I'm not going to do the principal office in the same scale that I'm going to be doing it in my world because it just takes forever. So that's probably where we'll have all like the living related stuff and some of the basic things. You'll probably see a few other random pieces related to that. But I mean, the diner will take some work because that's the outside. And then we're looking at this, yeah, that sort of look for the inside or something, whatever I can come up with that's similar. Because, I mean, it's not going to be perfect, right? I can do warped wood and stuff for the benches, maybe, for the seats. But if I use pistons or something for the tabletops, then that might be challenging. Maybe it'll be a fence with a mangrove wood pressure plate, maybe? I guess that might work for colors. So I'm not sure because I can't do the double layers here. I mean, if that ends up being maybe half slab for the counters, and then I can put carpets on top or something. Yes, it's funny you should say that, actually, Blind Bugle. I had heard that, and that's actually one of the problems I've run into in trying to do some basic research, in quotes, for being able to do the diner, is that I keep running into comments and things about the New Orleans chains. So I find it funny. But yeah, no, Dot, I mean being Dorothy, right? And in this case, I'm trying to figure out how do I want to do this. Okay, let's see, is there any other exteriors? Yeah, okay, so this is another exterior. It's very similar, but it gives you a better idea of the scale. So I'll do it player scale, because this is actually Dot going in there. Which means that I actually can't do binome references, and you'll catch that one later. But at least it helps a bit in terms of giving you guys a rough scale. So yeah, I keep running into references for the New Orleans area stuff when I'm trying to do research. It's a bit of a pain. Okay, so I'll run through a few of the main characters because I will probably be attempting to do 3D versions of them, but just before I do, I'm going to show you one more Dot's Diner. Now, this thing coming in from the sky, that is what the bottom edge of one of those game cubes looks like as it's starting to drop in. And I don't know which episode this scene was from, but this was a very scary moment because, like, for the game people, and I mean technically for those that were invested watching, I would have been a teen, early teen, I guess, when this series came out. So yes, ballpark age, there you go. And so I was really kind of nervous on behalf of the characters, and so really invested in the show. Is this another GameCube coming in? Yeah, so as the GameCube drops, ooh, interesting. I don't know what episode that's from. But where are we coming from in the GameCube? So as the GameCubes drop in, you can see that they fill in and take up part of the city. So I can use that as maybe make these GameCube potentially a little bit bigger. But when I'm building my city, then I can put my other builds inside that. Some of them will probably get compressed together rather than spread out quite the same way they were before. That'll be how I archive the old places. Anyway, back to the characters. Wiki content, characters. Okay, so Dot's Diner is for Dot Matrix. Go away. Sorry, the ads are annoying. So, Dot Matrix, this is how she kind of looks through the early part of the series, mostly. And she occasionally wears glasses when they try to make her look smart. She doesn't really need them all that often, but I mean, computers, what do you do? So anyways, so that's our main character. And I think this pose actually might be one that I could potentially use, but it would be, in order to get the look I want, because I really am not good at organics, my usual response to not being good at organics, or even computerized organics, is to scale up. Because when one scales up, you have a bit more flexibility to get detail in, rather than having to be super creative on how the items that you have available in Minecraft are used to get the look you want. So I will tell you right here and right now, the face, I'm gonna suck at it. It's just the way it goes. I'm not good at faces. Never have been. I mean, Jeremy Hillary Boob was a cartoon, and you saw how that worked. No, I will not, just in case anybody's curious, will not be doing this version of Dot as a teenager. Certainly not, just not my thing. That was a flashback scene anyway, so it wasn't a big deal. But yeah, so she's the owner of the diner, and she's one of our really 3 super major characters. So she's we have Bob, and then we have Dot, and I don't know if Bob has a last name. I think sometimes just jokingly called him Bob Guardian, but I can't remember. This one is Dot Matrix. So for those of you old enough to remember, those are the printers that we had the little dots, and they would like punch little marks onto the paper, and all the dots then would make those shapes of your printouts. Dot Matrix printers often had the tractor feed papers, so they had the little strips on the sides with holes in them to help pull it along, and then it was all perforated so you could pull the sheets apart. And kids for hours used to make like crisscross spring characters or spring worms we'd play with. It was a great fidget thing. Love it. Anyway, so that's Dot for you. And that's the look of Dot that I quite liked. I'll be upfront, I prefer the early series A lot of people who watch the series, if you were to look it up, the fans, they say it didn't get good until series 3 or 4 because they didn't like a lot of the hokey stuff that happened early on. I thought that the early stuff was more my thing because it was very tongue-in-cheek fun a lot of the time. And crumb. Hey, stop hitting me. Hello? Escape? Hello? Go away. Hey, you. Looks better than a creeper, I suppose. Probably have a creeper on my tail, too. Oh, no creepers. Lucky. Okay. Let's try that again. Oh, there is creepers. Boo. Okay, let's see. Just do it this way for now. And I have a couple days at least, right? Till phantoms come and knock me off. In any case, where was I? Tab. There we go. Okay, so, pardon me, I like the early part of the series. I was not as big a fan of the later part of the series. And you'll see the big difference as soon as I get to the next character. So do they have Bob? Oh, I don't see a Bob page. Go do an all page. Let's go back to the, oops. Let's go back to the all. And do we have Bob? Brenda. Okay, it's at the top of that list. Book. Bob's car. Bob Buckley. Bob. He's just Bob. So this is the main character. He's a guardian from the supercomputer. Yeah, so he has a name. Technically it's a number because there's lots of guardians out there, but he's a Bob. So early on they just had Bob looking like this format. Sorry, but formatting is kind of funny to me. I shouldn't have laughed, but they make all kinds of jokes about formats and computer things. So anyways, he talks about his earlier format. And this is actually later in the series where they show you about Bob as a cadet early on. Not quite sure why, but yeah, so that's teenage Bob. And much later in the series, he becomes like Silver Surfer outfitted Bob. Not my favorite, and he was really, I don't know, his personality changed quite a lot in that one. So yeah, I prefer the original, but that's just me. Anyway, so Bob does know Dot, but didn't really a lot of series. Okay, so anyways, I like the early stuff because it's goofy, it's fun, it's silly. Yeah, that's the gist of it. And there was a lot of bad computer jokes. But anyways, when the block that you saw earlier, I'm all over the board here. When the block you saw earlier dropped on the diner, it was a problem because, oh, back, wrong one. I want GameCubes before I get to Enzo. GameCube, EEF, Game Sprite, GameCubes. GameCube and Green Cubes, really. Okay, we might have to check both. We'll see. Okay, so when a GameCube drops on the system, a game runs inside, and the user plays said game, of course. Our characters try to get underneath it, because if you're underneath it, then you end up in the game when it drops on you. And our characters try and foil the user, so they're not necessarily replacing the villain, because all the main characters of the game are still there, but they try and foil the player in the game, because if they don't, and the player wins, then there's destruction. So the city gets wrecked. Is there one that shows after? No, not this one. Okay, so this, yeah, there we go. So it becomes a nullified sector, a result of the user winning the game. Now this is one where you can see for scale there's Dot outside. Okay, and so you don't want the user to win the game because it completely wrecks part of the city. So this is why when it drops onto important places, such as the diner, or in one episode it partially dropped on top of the principal office, it's a really big deal for the players to get in there and beat them, right? This was a weird one. because this section below was I think this was either after a game leaving in a nullified sector, because they raise back up when the playthrough is over. But yeah, so the sector would be nullified, which is, you'll see other vehicles in the show like flying in. You'll see like police and basically floating ambulances, sort of like Back to the Future style floating car concept. And I don't think I see any in here that's showing that. It says game manual restart, so that's probably because they glitched the game in some way. But anyway, yeah, I don't see anything in this gallery that's helping. Ooh, there's a Bob. There's more of a... That's a prototype of Bob, which is probably more likely how my Minecraft thing's going to turn out. Anyway, so when a GameCube ruins a sector, it actually destroys a lot of things. Quite badly. And if a game gets corrupted, they have all kinds of weird stuff going on, which I'm not going to replicate that. But, I mean, you can start to get the impression about how it really messes with everything. So, long story made short, that's how I'm going to deal with that part. So as far as characters go, so you saw Bob and Dot. I think that it's probably best we go and see. Let's see, it was a GameCube. We have GameCubes plural. Is that any better? No, it's the same one. It's a redirector. Okay, let's see if we can get Enzo in here. Enzo, and maybe his dog Frisket. We'll see. E-N, there we go. Enzo. Enzo Matrix. Perfect. So this is the version of Enzo I liked. He was a silly kid. He does mature, but he starts out as being quite a silly kid. Fairly young. Has a pet dog. This is Frisket, who initially doesn't like Bob, but very quickly learns to like him because Enzo decides to like him. And Enzo is Dot's younger brother. He says 01, so it's like he's 1 year old because it's all kind of binary things, but really he's not. If you think about it, he's actually, this is sort of a decade, so he's 10. In our world, it's confusing. And then when you have a birthday, they actually like age up and their outfit changes. Later in the series, he actually decides that he wants to learn to be a guardian. So this is Enzo after he's just been accepted to guardian school. So he's quite happy about that. And Bob gets assigned as his mentor because he has to help. Bob is going to get pulled away at some point to do something else. So Enzo gets assigned to his home sector, I guess, to be guardian for it. But I liked the early part of the series with Enzo looking like this. Even though, as I said, there's some that don't like it, and they say the series wasn't good until storylines started getting written differently about the 3rd or 4th season, where Enzo had a friend, they figured out, but anyways, he and his friend got stuck in a game. And what that means is they left with the game, and they were stuck in the game world. Now, his friend is actually from a game. It's a sprite called Andrea, with an AI spelling in the middle, and because that's what she is. She's an artificial intelligence. And whereas most of the game sprites are pretty stupid. But anyways, so these two got stuck in a game, and she helps him to be able to bounce from game to game to game, but they can't get out. Eventually they figured out how, but as a result of that, Enzo, I'll show you an older version. Is that this? No, not that one. This one. So Enzo comes out looking more like a tough guy pirate. More like a generic tough guy. This is his older look. So he aged up by bouncing around in the games, even though his sister kind of didn't much. So he aged up really quickly. Basically, he's living in the games and running at game speed, whatever game time was. And if game time was faster than mainframe's time, then he aged faster. But because he was stuck, he's tough because he had to learn how to survive. One of the other things you don't see here is that in one of the games he got an injury and his eye is like, the one you can't see on this side is white. So yeah, by aging him up, oh, whoops, wrong one. There's a reason for that, but that's nothing to do with what we're talking about. But anyways, he is definitely different. Like his character is very, very different. At that point, I just didn't like the series as much. Not to mention the outfits would be harder for me to do. So, go figure that one. Here's Enzo, and yes, his friend Andrea. So she goes from being like total, little kid flat-chested to way grown up. And I didn't like that look at all. You probably figured out I'm a bit of a prude, so that did not appeal to me. But anyways, yeah, there's Enzo being all tough guy. And it took a while for his dog to get used to him as well, because the dog didn't get stuck in the world. The dog stayed with Dot. So yeah, it got to be a little messy. There's Brisket. Yeah, actually back on this one, you can see that up at the top, if you've got the ability, that is his left eye, or our left, looking at him, is all white because of whatever happened in the game. So yeah, that's not gonna happen. It'll more probably be this version of him. Bit smaller, bit simpler, and it allows me to do Dot more reasonably. Okay, so guess see, there's a version of Andrea when she's younger. That works well. Okay, and then even Dot in later series, you can see here, this is one of her more souped up, more serious outfits, because they've had to start basically fighting what's going on in their world and protecting it from other things. And that's where we bring us to... I've done this once or twice before, so those of you who've seen this, I do apologize. Where is Megabyte? Page... Oh, next page. Haha. Okay, and Pearson's Megabyte. Megabyte. Okay, so Megabyte here, oops, is probably one of two of our main non-player villains that comes in. Now, his format, he's a virus, okay? Which basically means that theoretically he should be able to spread, which initially he can't. He doesn't actually have the ability. But yeah, he can spread. Now, he's sort of a half critter. And you can see, here's the top part. Right, he's kind of a half critter. In this particular one, see here, what's it showing? Yeah, you can see here. So he's got this like floaty base thing. It's like a wheelchair of sorts that he can float around on, which makes him seem like a great, disability character. But the thing is, he's designed as a robot as well. So he actually has a full body format as, you can see part of it here, there. So you can see he's got a lower section he can choose to switch onto. He doesn't have to sit on his chair the whole time. And he's never stuck on his chair, right? Like they gave him a complete full body look. So that'll be an interesting one to try and build as a statue. And yeah, he's got slightly different colors depending on what's going on. This one was a weird situation where he accidentally merged with something else and got to be more powerful briefly. Yeah. So I'm going to stick with the basic version of him. Right? He's just a pain in the butt. And I definitely will do a version of his sidekicks because they're cheesy and they're fun. For scale, there he is compared to Dot. He's just standing on something a little higher in this case. So he's about Dot and Bob's size, more or less. So he lives inside the Tor, which is that snake thing we looked at. And I have Megabyte's Fortress? Is that what they're calling it? Nope. That's not it. There's no pictures of that one. Anyway, yeah, okay. So that's a better picture of Megabyte with his throne as such. Kind of dumb. I'm going all over this. Ads suck. Sorry about that. I apologize you guys got stuck with that. We have about half an hour left anyways, so I'm gonna go with that. What have we got? I was thinking about hexadecimal. It was back in the ages. Previous EHGH. So this is our other major character, or major villain. I wanted to do a statue of that, but I think it'll be too complex for my skills. We'll see. And needless to say, certain elements will be less shapely just because organics and you can mix all that. But you see, she's got a what do you call it? Mask in her hand. Now, that's kind of unusual. I mean, she does it a few times, but her own face can switch, but she can sudden switch faces from being smiley to being super grunchy.
Ads are starting, which means it's break time. Thank you for your patience and stream support.
All right. Let's take a complete derail for the moment. And we're going to do a little bit of words on stream because, I don't know, because there is this one. Interact. All right. And if we end up spending time on it, that's fine. I need to just make sure. Okay, good. I'm not dead in game. All right. Oops.
Hello?
Hey, Fantastic Sherlock Fox. Thanks for dropping by. I appreciate it. Nope.
Hello?
Welcome on in, Mum Bear. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. Hmm. Ooh, that sounds good. Sound. I like that one. Oh, for Pete's sake. Darn it. Oops. Oh, Mom never beat me to it. Okay. level 2 goes to level 3. As we hit the continue button, I'm having an I feel dumb moment because I just remembered I'm being in a solo world. I can hit escape and pause the game. That was kind of silly. What the? Oh, I see. Oh, Rit is a good one. I like that. Good thing we got off that level. I was really running a blank at the end there. Mama Bear, solid. Very, very solid. Yeah, mine too. Ready? Here we go. Ooh, good one. Akbar, welcome on. Welcome back. Haha. Oops. Game? Might be tough. Just squeaked it through there. That one was a rough one. One level. Yay! And everybody's a solid showing on that one? As soon as you guys are welcome to do any size words, but as soon as you see the big ones, just go for it. Awesome. Just because I had to. Gotta put that Canadian and UK spelling in there. Didn't show up, but it was fun. Alright, solid from Mama Bear and Mock Bear. That's what I thought, Mockbar, but I don't know why it doesn't like that one. Is it possible that maybe you tried it too soon after the previous word that it did take, so your lock wasn't clear? That might be worth trying that one again. The long word. Huh, still doesn't like it. Wonder why. Now I really wonder what that big word is, because it wasn't bassoon. Did make it, but that's okay. Saved you guys a lot of time. So we only have about 20 minutes left in the regular silliness. Exit this. Let's switch back. There is a bit of lag going on, so I do wonder. So, okay, so you can see hexadecimal has the option for different faces. So what I might do instead of a full hexadecimal is just do a series of hexadecimal faces around the base. That's a little, this one's creepy, but you know, different looks that she's got. Because although the faces can shift slowly, she can very quickly just pass her hand in front of her face and go to something else. And her format, I believe, she's another virus, even though a virus and a sprite. So there's a version of her where the storyline does take her quote unquote good for a while, but very commonly she goes from nice to nasty and back and forth, right? So I think that might be kind of a fun one, is sort of do a theme of a whole ton of those around the base. She's got a sidekick, a little tiny guy named Scuzzy, as in like a SCSI. Well, and they actually might spell it SCUZZY in some literature, but yeah, that's Scuzzy. And then we also have to do, just for fun, as for our characters that we kind of fun to do as statues, a little easier, is this one. So yes, this is Mike the TV. Quite literally, he's a TV. This section down here, at the bottom, is his mouth, which is like, you can open it, shapes and whatever. And Mike sometimes gets into the games. Most of the time he doesn't, but occasionally he ends up in the games. So he gets himself in trouble. So he can change a little bit of his shape. But I'm trying to see if there's a good one with Mike. Nope. There's a spot where this is the way Mike looks when you're talking to him in a little video thing, vid windows. And I got derailed on the vid windows thing, but that's fine. It's okay. Okay, these two. Mike's on top for a reason, but it happened to be in this picture. So these, I don't remember which is which, but one is Hack and one is Slash. And they're Megabyte's sort of henchmen sidekicks. Henchmen, really. And they, as you would expect, are really, really dumb. They're robotic kind of characters as well, but they're dumb, and they'll have things like where they fall apart and their heads get knocked off and all kinds of silly stuff, but they keep on talking. But those will be easy enough to do as statues as well, because they're fairly simple. But yeah, so I can see more potential for statues in that one, and then the city itself in the other side. And then I can change the scale if I need to when I go to move them into the other world. Last piece, because we're just about done here, is, do we have Reboot Toys? No thanks. Guardian Code to mend and defend. Do I have vid windows in here? Vid TV. I can't spell. Vid window. Where does that take me to? This one. Okay. So a vid window. This is basically how they communicate, right? So a video window, like a usually fairly 2D piece, will just pop up. And often you can see through the back of it, so like you could just walk around the back side of the window, and the person would just be seeing the other side. It works well. But in some instances, like this, they have the window solid on the back, so nobody else is seeing what you're talking to. So it's kind of a tough one. But yeah, but you see a vid window like this. Hey, Distorted Mania, how you doing? Long time no see. So yeah, so there might be some of these. Now, if I was doing a custom texture pack, which I might for my own world, but it's unlikely, but that's sort of the thing you would do with like paintings and such. So there could be some scope for me to do a reference to that in the Datcraft world. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, that's the gist of how they communicate. And so there'll be plenty of times where, like this is Dot on this left side, and this is one of our generic police character, Binomes. He's a 1. There's rounded zeros and stuff that look kind of dumb as well. But he, not this character, but like this is the way they pop up. And very frequently you'll see ones where Megabyte will pop up in a vid window yelling at Bob and so on and so forth. It's kind of silly. So yeah, not much time left. What was I looking at? There's Bob, Dot, Scuzzy, you got those. Oh, Fong. Okay. So I gotta back up to Fong. Now the reason I need to show you this guy, this is actually one that so Fong's office is kind of wackadoodle, but he lives, so let's go back to Fong. I guess I can't talk about his office without talking about him. I had it there, this one. Okay, so this is Fong. He's short. Like quite literally, this is a round ball at the bottom and he rolls around. Let's see, there's a height comparison picture here. Yeah, okay. closest I can find at the moment is, so that's Enzo at Enzo's regular height, and then you can see Fong's pretty short next to him. Right? It's kind of like an ET looking sort of guy. That's basically Bob and Dot's height, but that's not Bob or Dot at all. There's the storyline reason to that, but anyways, give you just a rough idea how tall Fong is. So Fong is the major, in essence, kind of like the mayor of the city who doesn't really make decisions. He runs the principal office, which is the central, really it's the repository of all knowledge and information. So of a whole hard drive, it's all in this principal office. And he's pretty normal. His office is pretty normal, I guess. Yeah, he's weird, wacky, and has a bit of an Asian accent. So sometimes he talks like he's dispensing super deep information. No problem, Distorted. Things happen. You know, people get busy. Moves are like that. They can really take your whole life. And that's fine. Things happen, you know. And even the fallout from moving and getting life back in order afterwards. I wanted to take a look at... I was back and looking at Fong's office. So, when you have a busy life, you don't have time for doing crazy, silly things like binge-watching shows, right? So, getting hooked on Fong and Enzo would be a waste of your time. But I'm glad you're able to drop in and come see us for the short period you've got available. Yep, that's fine if you have to lurk. That's totally cool. So Fong's office is pretty chill. We don't spend much time in it. It's a convenience thing. You see more of it later in the series. So I may not even bother doing Fong's office. And this is not a picture of Enzo. That's actually, yeah, there's reasons for those ones as well. But anyways, well, it's neither here or there. It's not important to what I'm up to. But that gives you a rough idea of what I was doing, right? Hard drive, I think. Oh, no, that's not helping. Okay, never mind. So I guess that's the gist of the majority of the place. Just skimming through some of these. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to say as far as locations go. There are a few spots that might show up, but not many. I think my favorite one will probably be them. Old Man Pearson. Okay. He runs the junkyard. He's a grump. You know, your neighborhood grump, get off my lawn variety. But he's a good example in terms of shape and size. So we saw the policeman in Dot's vid window. Old Man Pearson yells at clouds and whatever. And he, yeah, he's one of the ones of the binomes. He's just grumpy. He's fun, but he's grumpy. I might do one of him if I can't find another one. Let's see, let's go. Nope. Back. I just want to see if they have a page about binomes before we disappear, because we have a teeny tiny amount of time left. Binome! There we go. Okay. So they do have in their numbers. I'm not quite sure what the second height thing is, but the front one on the right hand side is the height of a sprite, so that's sort of a dot from the side. I'm not sure what these guys are. I don't remember what that one is, but they do have numbers running around town, quite literally, that look like cheesy numbers. Like that's a 5. And then this is the height of a binome, the ones, and then we have round ones behind it. Like the other binomes, so the ones and the zeros. So understandably, if I was to scale my world so that the dot, oh, what's the wrong one? The dot height was a player, so the 2-block high section of a player, you can understand how this small stuff would be very, very difficult to do. So it's probably not even worth bothering. I might end up doing like ones as fence posts in places, with zeros as, I don't know, some random block that I designate that way. But it's unlikely I'll put them in there. There's not much to do with it. And the numbers, I'm just not going to bother. That's just far too complex. So yeah. And this little guy in the end, he's a null. So that's the last piece I wanted to cover. I wanted to leave it till last on purpose. Reboot. Nulls. Okay. This is what I wanted. Nulls. Nulls are not great. Nulls are... Well, nulls exist for a lot of reasons. But one of the reasons nulls exist is nulls are often what's left of the binomes or the citizens after a game cube has come through. So they say the sector's been nullified. Right? Yeah, that is a handy graphic, it's true. They've been nullified. And so each one of these, in theory, would have been a binome citizen at some point in time, or a number, or one of the citizens of mainframe. Now, on occasion, the nulls, they retain sort of the knowledge of who they are. So on occasion, they can bind together as a bunch. They can't talk, but they can bind together as a bunch and become a shape. More often, you'll see something, if they have a shape, you'll see something like a big blob like this, or a massive quantity of them like that. Right? Or potentially even a weird blob monster like this. They will sometimes cover buildings and stuff. Yeah. So there's one getting abused by Megabyte. They, as far as I know, cannot be turned back. So once you're a null, that's it. And sometimes they can be kind of stupid, and that's great because the characters are kind of stupid that turn into nulls. Yeah. So occasionally you'll find one that they'll be able to identify which one it is, but usually they can't. So specific ones have become pets over time. There's one that there was a shot earlier we tripped over with a null running on the hamster wheel in Fong's office. That's just the way it goes. Have a good one, Mokbar. Thank you very much for spending the time and dropping by. I appreciate it. So as you can see, I have a lot of work to do. Long story short, I'm having a bit of an obsession, but I have to rewatch the series, which means, unfortunately, the obsession will get worse before it gets better. Yeah, that's the gist of it. So here's the main page, more pages. Do I have a logo on this one? I wonder if it says logo on the next page. Logo? No, limo. Logo? Reboot. Links, movie, toys. Reboot. We don't have the picture. Anyway, that's the logo I was test running a while back, so I've got that to work on as well. This may actually get built as art in DC's world as well. So that's actually probably going to happen. So there's things like that I want to do the two separate worlds, but I will probably take your guys' advice and do a bunch of the other stuff in some world editing software, particularly the parts that are taking forever for circles. That might be a smart plan, but I do want to do some of it in survival because some of the building, like the Tor and stuff like that, will be creative. Although, not creative, but as in challenging. Although that said, it's a tough decision because I wanted it kind of to be able to be something I could do on stream, and I don't find that anybody thinks it's as interesting. Most of the time, when I spend time in either creative worlds or, you know, non-dieable, peaceful kind of stuff, like it just doesn't fly. So I'm trying to find a happy balance. But I mean, if I'm spending a lot of time on the community servers, doing the various sub-elements, maybe the main world will just pop up from time to time, and I can do that however I want. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I talked to Fantastic Shock Fox a little bit about it, and I'm still back and forth. If I do enough pieces in a survival multiplayer world, then maybe I can just, you know, paste them into the other one with no guilt. But that's all there is to say, really. So when it comes down to it, and let's turn. Actually, it doesn't really matter. Might as well just use this one for now. My messy computer. But yeah, when it comes down to it, you know, we've got some stuff starting to happen, some shapes starting to come together. But this is the first 2 layers, right? Like, we've got far more to keep doing. And this whole circle isn't even what we need. Right? So 448 blocks out from this center point is out there. So we're talking like the edge, just past the edge of this blue water on the left side. That's the radius, so it's half of it. And then I haven't marked the other half. So yeah, that's just the bowl in the center. The icing on the cake will come later, I suppose. But yeah, it's the foundation. So we've got places to go, tons to do, and that's going to be a big project. Part of the reason I started doing this was because I really needed to think out what I wanted to do for next season. And hopefully get things stable. Now, I mean, I find, we kind of addressed it a little bit, but I find that I have myriad of tech issues and things won't boot and on and on and on the story goes when I'm trying to be ready to stream right after the Dadcraft servers have had an update. So it's always nice to have something in the wings, and that's one of the other advantages to this world. But I think doing more active stuff in it later on will be probably more interesting than now and make a better fallback, right? So anyway, let's start preparing to raid and get some ideas on who else we can raid to. So let's see who's up. I know technically I'm a few minutes early, but top of the hour. Most people are good at being there at the top of the hour. I'm not. So the best I can promise is a lot of days to be finishing at the right spot. As to schedules, I have a scout camp coming up tomorrow, and I'm going to give it a lot of, like, hopefully I will have time to give some of this streaming stuff a good think. I kept pushing back and pushing back and pushing back to try and get a regular schedule, and I don't know if that's actually going to work. So I need to give it a good think and reset. Things are changing, but then other things kick me instead, so you can't win them all. Okay, so before I get dark, let's find someone interesting. Mickey's up. Motown Mickey's up, but Mickey's been up for 4 hours, which means that's well into her I probably should get out of here time. Therefore, I think we're probably going to head over and join Gutty. They're doing Hardcore Minecraft 1.21.8 at the moment, but they're on a world that is 4,300 plus days. Not sure how they math that. I have never figured that out, but let's see how they're doing on that one. So, yeah, let's get that one started. If we hit right before the top of the world, or top of the hour, that's fine. I want to say thanks to everybody that came in. So let's get this raid started, and then I'll have about 2 minutes to say thanks before it kicks you guys over. Trying to remember what I was going to do. Press a button. That would help. There we go. Gutty. Maybe? Oh. Okay, it doesn't raid today. That's fine. Let's do it manually. Raid. Gutty.
Mischief managed.
Huh. Interesting. Alright, mischief managed indeed. Thank you everybody for coming by. I appreciate those that came by and said hello, and for those that were able to play in the games, and those that were interested in hearing what was going on. I will be back on Dadcraft server next week, because come bleep or high water, I will figure out what on earth I got screwed up that doesn't want to cooperate with his server, and also we'll have enough minimal stuff in there that I can survive it, even if I have to go nearly vanilla. So yeah, thanks very much to Jay for dropping by, and to Fantastic Sherlock Fox and Mama Bear and Jay for being our moderators today. We had great chat from them, as well as Muckbar, Halfpoint Lover dropping in, Blind Bugler, Disordered Mania, and we are off to see Gutty. So if you're the sort that likes emotes, they should be there in chat for you. The middle one, like between the subscribed and the announcement, is the one for everybody. And basically, have yourselves a wonderful time, be kind, and I shall see you next week. Hopefully with some good camp stories. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye for now.
Transfer complete.